This is the Proton X50, one of Proton's most successful models in recent times, with over 140,000 units sold since its 2020 birth. And why wouldn't it be? SUV, compact, competitively priced? Check, check, check. So it's only natural that this gets renewed for a second season. And so here we go, the 2025 Proton X50 facelift, or as Proton calls it, the all-new X50. Which is more accurate? Let's take a look. This review is sponsored by BH Petrol. Use Infinity RON 95 Euro 4M fuel today to enjoy your car's peak performance. With the latest generation German additives, it keeps your engine at its best, running smoothly and reliably. Special for our viewers, you can now use our referral code BHPXPaultan and get free 200 e-points when you download the BH Petrol e-card app. Now I think we all know what the biggest change is, but let's get to that later. Let's take a look at the looks first, which are taken almost wholesale from the Geely Binyue L, which is the third Binyue facelift that only debuted in China in November 2024. So what do you get here? You get some new LED reflector headlamps. Yes, they were projectors before this, with 3 DRL eyebrows. You get an ethereal bow grille with some songket pattern, which is Proton's differentiation over the Chinese car. And you get this huge gaping mouth of a lower grille. To me, if you look at this car in real life, you'll see that it actually is so over-chinned for such a small car. Also, on the bonnet, which is slightly reprofiled, you get some fake air vents, which to me look quite abeng. Now the side is pretty much recognizable from the current X50, with the roof, door mirrors, doors and rear quarter panels carried over. What are the changes? The old car used to have chrome surrounding the glass house, whereas now it's just on the underline. Also, you get some new side skills with some more fake venturi, and also new wheels, which measure either 17 or 18 inches depending on the variant. The back is also completely Binyue L, so you get a new rear end including a new tailgate. You can see this full-width slim LED rear light bar. There are also L-shaped elements right here that hug the reflectors, quad tailpipes. Yes, finally the X50 gets one pipe per cylinder. And who could miss the elephant in the room? This gigantic tailgate spoiler. It's available on the flagship only, not on the premium. The premium still uses the original M-shaped spoiler before this, which I think is a lot cleaner looking. As OTT as this spoiler is, I've got to say, especially if you look at it from the side, it's actually very well integrated into the roofline. So if you look at it from the side, the car actually looks quite aircrafty. On the whole, I have to say, if this was an ideal world, I'd have the old face and the new rear, because I think the new rear looks a lot neater. But this is not an ideal world. So we're now in the 2025 Proton X50 facelift, and the first thing I want to talk about is the interior. So although the steering wheel and seats are taken from the pre-facelift X50, almost everything else is unique, including the dashboard and the door cards. So while the exterior is based on the Binyue L quite clearly, the interior looks unlike any Binyue we know. It's a very simple, minimalist, horizontal interior, as is all the rage these days. You get a 14.6-inch infotainment touchscreen, as well as an 8.8-inch driver instrument panel. You get a split-level center console and also wireless charging, but although there's 2 phone holders, the wireless charging is only on one side, and this is only for the flagship. Now this lower half of the dashboard has this red soft touch kind of material, which is echoed also on the door cards. Now, if you ever had a chance to go into a Proton showroom and try and feel this for yourself, it actually feels quite nice. It adds a touch of class and also premiumness to an otherwise quite prosaic cabin. The traditional gear lever in the center console is gone. That's now been moved to the steering wheel stalk on the right. And because the right steering wheel stalk is now the gear selector, the left stalk becomes an all-in-one Mercedes-style affair. So it's got all your wipers, it's got your high beam controls, all on one stalk. So press once to wipe once at the end of the stalk, twist for wiper operations. In the middle, there's a little lever for you to activate the rear wiper, and you pull towards you to flash the high beams, push away from you to toggle the auto high beams. So whether you like the old interior or the new, I think is a matter of taste. Where the old one had these huge grab handles along the sides and they were a lot more cozy, I suppose you could call that a little bit more of a sporty interior, whereas this one is more simple, it's more modern, and it's more uncluttered. Also, this steering wheel, as mentioned, is the same as the pre-facelift X50. It looks a little bit of an anachronism in this car. By that I mean a little bit old-fashioned. But I suppose it pays to have some more shared components with the S70. So what else do you get? You also get ambient lighting on the passenger side dashboard, which is quite cool. It can be configured to show one color, multiple colors, or even dance to the tune of your music. You also get a frameless rearview mirror and also these very novel sun visors which you can look through to minimize glare. I think the wireless charging, although it's only on one side, is quite practical as well. One thing about the wireless charging pad is that it's located just underneath the aircon vents. So if you're one of those who've got phones that are prone to overheating, you can always direct one of the aircon vents downwards to cool your phone. It's quite neat. There's also one small change in the back of the center console. Where the previous car had the USB ports on top and air vents on the bottom, the new car reverses their positions. So you have the aircon vents on top and one USB-A port and one USB-C port on the bottom, where the previous car had just two USB-A ports. In terms of technology with this X50 facelift, there are two standout features. One, believe it or not, this is the first Proton to come with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay straight out of launch. The second is Aisyah. Aisyah, that's right. That's the name of Proton's new Bahasa Malaysia voice recognition system. To access Aisyah, you need to first change the system's language to Bahasa Malaysia. Now we've tried this in practice and its operation is quite sketchy at times. Somehow we didn't quite manage to get it to do multiple commands at one time, but on the whole, voice recognition, we have to say, works quite well, reasonably accurate. The bad thing about this 14.6-inch infotainment touchscreen is that you still have to go into the screen to adjust aircon, fan and temperature. But that's not such a big problem, as even if you're in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you can just swipe from the top of the screen to access the controls without having to exit the system. Besides aircon controls, you also have the light controls inside the screen as well. But then again, with auto lights, this isn't really a problem as well. Now the biggest beef I have with the X50 facelift is this driver instrument panel. It's, in a nutshell, just too small. I mean, I get that it has to be small enough so that it can fit through the top of the steering wheel so that you can see it. But in practice, I know my eyes are not a young man's anymore. This is still just too small to be practically readable. There's too much white space between the numbers and all the information when they could be made bigger for not just convenience, but you could argue safety. Now the X50 on long highway runs like this is very comfortable. I mean, these seats, although they're taken from the old car, there's nothing really wrong with them. They provide adequate support, at least for me. Also, on this flagship version, you get a full-length panoramic sunroof, which is quite nice. In the back, it's the same story. Those door cards are different, and they also have these new door handles, which, if you recall the old car's door handles, they were sort of L-shaped with a very long, sort of thin spine, which had a propensity of breaking. These, I think, hopefully at least, should hold up better in terms of durability. Still on the back, after having ridden in the back for some time, I can report that in terms of headroom, legroom, I've got no complaints. And as mentioned, the seats are really, really quite comfortable. This is a car you can take on those long balik kampung drives. And on the subject of balik kampung, the boot, unchanged from before, but as the old car already offered 330 litres, I'd say that's adequate. And if you need more space, you can always fold the back seats down. Okay, now we come to what is undoubtedly the biggest change of the X50 facelift, the engine. Put simply, the engine has changed from a 3-cylinder to a 4-cylinder under a new family of engines called BHE15. Now, in terms of power output, this new 4-cylinder engine develops 181 PS and 290 Newton meters of torque. That's about 4 PS and nearly 40 Newton meters up on the previous direct injected 3-cylinder engine, and where the old X50 had two engine choices. Yes, they were both 1.5, but one of them was port injected while the other one was direct injected. Now, all X50s will use this same direct injected engine. Now, despite the new engine having one more cylinder, more power and torque, Proton actually says it's up to 4.7% more fuel efficient. So the old car was claimed at about 6.4 to 6.5 litres per 100 kilometers. So this should do something like 6.1. Now that's an achievement, whichever way you want to look at it. After all, you're going from 3 to 4 cylinders, remember? This fuel economy test was carried out using BH Petrol Infinity RON 95 Euro 4M, your ideal choice for peak engine performance, smoother drives and improved fuel economy. In terms of gearbox, it's status quo. It's still the same 7-speed dual clutch auto. So, new engine, what's it like? On the whole, there are two main strengths of the Proton X50 facelift. One, the refinement. It really is quite quiet in here. I mean, we're doing about just a little over 100 kilometers per hour at the time, and I can hear nothing of the engine and nothing of the wind that's passing me. I also have to say that these Continental tires, they are also pretty quiet. You don't hear much rolling noise. Now, in terms of straight line power, it's not exactly galaxies apart from the old direct injected engine. And I suspect a lot of it is blunted by the 7-speed gearbox, which, when you demand power in a hurry, there is quite a substantial delay before you actually get up to speed. And you know, by the very nature that it's a double clutch gearbox, there are some low speed clunks, especially in city driving, sometimes when you put it in reverse to do a 3-point turn. But it's not excessive, and it's easily circumvented by addressing the throttle a little bit more gingerly before you give it your full command. But we do have to say, we have driven better double clutch gearboxes than this, especially from European brands. All in all though, in a car costing between 90,000 and 110-ish, you won't find better value for money. Now, Proton hasn't really said anything about the suspension, so we assume that tuning-wise it's status quo. And there's nothing wrong with that. It actually rides and handles very well on most surfaces, and that includes bad roads. In terms of handling, yeah, of course, this is no hot hatch, but if you consider what this car is supposed to be, a family SUV practical runabout in town, and the occasional jaunt outside of the Klang Valley, this is more than good enough. In terms of drive modes, like before, there are Eco, Comfort and Sport, but now there's a new Adaptive mode which adjusts itself to suit your driving style. So all in all, with all things considered, I really have to say that with the Proton X50 facelift, two things really jump out at me. I have to reiterate its quietness. Refinement is a strong point, both in terms of wind and engine. The other thing that's really good about it is the ride. On long speed drives, it really is a very comfortable companion to travel with. And it's comfortable without being floaty, which is more than can be said from many Chinese cars out there. Now, in terms of safety, for the first time, the X50 is getting something called RSRS, Rear Side Radar System. Now, this basically includes functions for the rear, like blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and other rear warning systems. RSRS is standard across the range, but ADAS functions, which includes frontal functions like AEB and ACC, is available only on the premium and flagship versions. But the good news is, the X50 now comes with 6 airbags across the range, thanks to the departure of the 4-airbag standard variant. Now, just a note about the intelligent cruise control. It's improved over the previous system, but still leaves quite a bit to be desired. I mean, right now I have it engaged at about 100 kilometers per hour on the highway, and I don't know if you can see from here, but the steering wheel is still sort of making constant minute corrections left and right. It's sort of vibrating rather than staying straight over the course of the line. Also, whenever another car comes in front of me, the braking is quite abrupt. I suppose there still needs to be some tuning done on this, because we've driven ACC systems that operate a lot smoother on the whole. I mean, it's not a bad system by any means, it's just that we've driven better, especially when this thing takes corners in ICC. Even though the curvature of the road is constant, sometimes it has to make corrections that are just too abrupt for comfort. There's also a new auto parking system. Previously, you had to hold the button in order for the car to move. Now it's just a one-touch affair. Now there are 3 variants, the Executive at 90k, the Premium at 102k, and this flagship at 113k. Now these prices are quite amazing because you're basically getting a premium for the price of the old Standard, which is no more. Me, I would take the mid-range Premium to get the simpler, neater spoiler. And I can do without the wireless charging, the transparent sun visor and the sunroof, while still having ADAS. It's the most all-rounded variant, I think. So there you have it, boys and girls, the 2025 Proton X50. All new or just a very heavy facelift? What would you call it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
This review is sponsored by BH Petrol. Use Infinity RON 95 Euro 4M fuel today to enjoy your car's peak performance. With the latest generation German additives, it keeps your engine at its best, running smoothly and reliably. Special for our viewers, you can now use our referral code BHPXPaultan and get free 200 e-points when you download the BH Petrol e-card app.